All right, welcome back to another Drew Sutton Leadership Spotlight Show. Today we have Geo Booth with MajorSage Business Consulting and Coaching. All right, get ready to be inspired by our next guest, Geo Booth. Geo is the mastermind behind MajorSage Business Coaching and a certified Business Made Simple coach. We're going to get into that during the show. He's on a mission to transform B2B and manufacturing operations. With over 40 years of experience in the textile industry, Geo has seen it all. From product development to marketing and sales, he's a specialist in solving one of today's biggest business headaches: finding and keeping, that's right, good, great, amazing people beyond the boardroom. He's a passionate speaker, a talented songwriter, and a proud granddad of 5. Let's give a warm welcome to Geo Booth. Yay! Hey, Geo.
Hey, Drew.
Hey,
great
welcome to the show. Yeah,
Thank
man. So I met Geo in the Business Made Simple certification. I also got the certification. It is an amazing product. We're going to get into that in a minute. But Geo, as I warned you, before we get into the fun stuff, you have to run the gauntlet. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Put me in the hot seat.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Very nice. Rock or country?
Ooh. What is Tom Petty? I'm that.
What is Tom Petty? That's actually one of the better answers I've had for that question. Well done, sir. Mountains or beaches?
Beach.
Beach. Nice. Window seat or aisle seat?
Aisle. I'm old. I have to get up and go.
Spicy food or mild food?
Spicy.
Texting or phone calls?
Oh, texting.
Oh, nice. Well done, sir. Okay.
I did it for your approval.
Well, that's okay. Amping it up here a little bit. Should ketchup be stored in the fridge or the cupboard?
I have always put it in the refrigerator.
Refrigerator, nice. Pineapple on pizza?
Not unless you make me.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. You were like the 5th person in a row that said no. Okay.
I mean, I can eat it. I have eaten it. I just don't order it.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Without a doubt. It's not Christmas until Hans Gruber has fallen to his death.
And he redeems himself. Well done, sir.
The Lord and the birth of our Lord and Savior and the death of Hans Gruber. It's just sort of this symmetry that we have, right? So the
That's
cycle,
right.
Birth and death,
It's like peas and carrots.
and there's that reunification of the McLean family. That's important.
That's true. No, this is true. What more can you want? Okay. And then the last and the most controversial question of all, what color is this dress?
Oh, that's Laurel and Yanni. That's my favorite designer. I see gold and white on my screen, but I am aware that the opinions differ. Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary. No, I also see gold and white. My wife and I had quite the time when that first came out. We were like, well, who are you? Like, what else do you like? What is purple to you?
Well, this is the funny thing. I mean, if you think about it, and Roy H. Williams, the guy who's known as the Wizard of Ads, actually made this point. That color doesn't really exist. It's only our eyes and our optical nerves, and then the loci in our brain that interpret those wavelengths or frequencies as color. I mean, without that, it really doesn't exist. It's just an abstract thing. And music is similar. I mean, if the ear didn't exist, so it's kind of the old philosophical question about if a tree falls alone in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make any sound? Well, in a world without people, it really wouldn't. I mean,
right.
There would be nobody to say, did you hear that? So,
yeah.
So the gold and white thing, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, and people do differ in their perceptions. So
it is. It's super interesting. I think we both value personality profiles, or like, the different personality types in a general sense. But I've recently gotten to experience a really cool one called the bank system, BANK. I'll probably put a link here in the bio for it. But it's a good reminder that we are different, and the way that we experience life is different. Um, One of the things that I often say is that not everyone fits everywhere. I'm a huge culture guy. I know you're a huge culture guy. And it's okay if the way you see the thing doesn't work. It doesn't mean, if you don't fit here, it's okay. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Um, it just might mean that you don't fit here. It doesn't mean you don't fit everywhere, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
lots of great examples of that. I mean, yeah, our local NFL franchise is the Carolina Panthers, and early in the team's existence, we had this quarterback named Kerry Collins, and Collins was, he was really an example of a good player in a bad for him system. He left, went to the Giants, I mean, and took them to a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's not a failure not to fit, but it would be a failure to keep ending up in situations that don't work. You
oh,
know,
that I need to memorize that. I'm going to rewatch this clip and memorize that speech there, because the what I run into is folks talk about, and this is your core thing, right? Is how to find, and I can't find good and keep good people, or how do you find and keep good people, right? Everything in that
right?
conversation.
Hmm.
And Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, he says, everybody quotes it. They say you got to get the right people in the right seats. But that is the second half of the sentence. The first half of the sentence is you have to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus,
Yes.
then get the right people in the seats. So um, so this is your thing, right? So what are your thoughts on, what are the core things that we need to do to find and keep the right people, get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seats? What are your thoughts on that? Oh no. Poor Mr. Booth is the victim of perhaps my internet. No worries. So let's talk about that for a second. So Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So what does he mean by that? Well, you can't make a strategy to become the low price leader. If your culture
There we
doesn't,
are. Okay.
oh, there we go. I was trying to riff for you. Welcome. Glad to have you back. The question is, you can't
Yeah.
find good
Well,
people.
my second time on your broadcast. I'm loving it. So,
He's a repeat
yeah. So when
attendee. I love it.
it's my first return engagement. I'm really honored. But when people tell me that they can't find and keep good people, that usually boils down to a hiring problem, a management problem, or a vision problem. And we often start with the vision because, if you understand where you're going and you can communicate that to people who want to come to work for you, you can sort of sort out the people who are really mission driven and mission oriented, as opposed to the ones who are mercenaries. And sometimes you just need somebody that you can pay to haul the garbage away. That's great. But if you really want to build something that's going to get you not just through the current crisis, but build something that can grow and be healthy and fruitful way beyond even the span of your working career, then you got to be able to form a compelling or a magnetic vision. And you need to be able to communicate that, not just to the people on your roster. That's important too for day-to-day management and leadership. But you've also got to be able to communicate it clearly to the people who say, I think you guys have got something good going. I'd really like to join. So, I mean, bad hiring is really a result of poor communication. So, and if you're waving a big number, there's no shortage of people who would like to show up for a six-figure job. Who wouldn't? But not everybody's ideally suited for it. And it's not just about degrees. It's
You're gonna get a DJ horn. Say that again about the big number.
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, who wouldn't want a six-figure job, right? But just because you're a
Oh no. Okay. No, I totally agree with you.
good friend.
Want
I've
to
got a
shoot
good
for a six
Yep.
figure job. Continue
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody wants that nice big paycheck, but not everybody has the temperament to do the work. Not everybody is a good cultural fit. Not everybody is bought into your mission. So I have a good friend who's a PhD theoretical chemist. I mean, he also happens to be a guy with a wicked sense of humor and a talented musician, building a pipe organ in his garage. I mean,
Oh
you don't
wow.
meet many people like that. But I can't do the work that he does. If you sat me down to just grind through theoretical chemical equations, I mean, my head would explode.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, I got to be out among people. That's really where it's at for me. That's why I'm a coach, not a chemist.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you there. But it all starts with vision. The weeding process, I say this all the time, and I know that we're synced up on this, is that somebody's leading the culture of your organization, right? It's either the vampires that's in the organization who is complaining about everything but doesn't fit. And so you either have a mutiny on your hands in which they're molding the culture to themselves. And
Mm,
generally that's a pretty negative culture with low engagement, or the leader, the topmost leader is leading the culture, and it's a value.
mhm.
He's setting a good vision, and you're moving towards that. I love it. From
Yeah, I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit, if I may. I mean, the big thing is, you know, if top management doesn't articulate a clear vision, then that creates a vacuum. So, you know, if you end up having some sort of culture implanted laterally, well, that's a coup. That's generally not a good thing for a leader. And if it's from the bottom up, I mean, even if it's beneficial, that's a revolution. So most leaders don't like that either. So, you know, any leader worth his or her salt really should be in the culture making or culture minding business. So, I
I
mean, I
love
think
that.
just
Y-
be
y-
aware that you know it really boils down to it's your values, it's the look on your face, it's your habits, you know, it's what you model. You know, you don't have to be the greatest accountant to lead accountants. You don't have to be the greatest musician to lead a band, but you've got to have a clear vision and you've got to be aware that the people who aren't just like you bring something valuable and wonderful that you can't accomplish without them. So, yeah. So, I mean,
So, man, I'm jazzed up. I love your phrase. It's either your vision, a mutiny, or a
a coup
revolution,
d'etat. Yeah.
coup d'etat or
Yeah.
revolution. And so
Yeah.
you got to ask yourself, what do I want? So, all right. So we're bought in. We agree. Okay, it's my job to set the vision for my organization. Why is it that most leaders don't do that? And how do they what do they experience? How can I look at my organization and say, am I doing a good job of setting vision? So why don't we do it? And then what do I experience when I don't do it right?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons. I mean, the first one is, I mean, let's go all the way back to the Old Testament, right? In the Bible, we have so few leaders who finished well.
Mm,
King
yep.
David, you know, was an obscure shepherd boy who went out and killed a giant, I mean, with a sling and five stones. You know, wonderful story. Ended up being a great king and a conqueror and all that. And then in the spring, when it was time for kings to be at war, dude's up on the roof becoming some pervy peeping Tom and ends up in a conspiracy to commit murder, adultery. You know, I mean, it's just like the list goes on. And then his son, the one born from that affair, Solomon, wisest of all kings, chosen to build the temple in Jerusalem, and ends up kind of squandering all the wisdom and all the leadership gifts that he had. So I want to say that the application for today is leaders who want to make sure they're mindful of culture need to be kind of sure about their sense of mission. So, I mean, we do, you and I both have access to a tool called Hero on a Mission, which is a great life
Oh
planning
yeah.
workshop, and it's great when leaders can have that tool and they're sort of looking ahead to the end of their days or at least the end of their career and saying, what do I want to have, you know, by way of accomplishments, or what do I want to be said when they're laying me in that box before they put me in the ground? And if you want those things to be true, then that means that I've got to be about some things today that are going to add up to certain projects completed, certain books or essays written, songs or whatever, you know, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then I have to, if I'm going to live a long time, I need to do that again and again. But I think the big thing is, if we want to point to David and Solomon and business leaders today, it's we're not checking in with what our core cause, what our core mission is. And I think if leaders did that and they understood what's at stake, I think they would be a whole lot more careful.
No, I love that because I think, and you didn't expressly say this, but it kind of came through in the stories you were pointing out, is that as you're rising through the ranks, right, as you're slaying your dragons, as you're killing your giants, as you're setting up your kingdom, you're so busy hustling that the goal is to get to the kingdom. Like the goal is to kill the giant, but there's a life after you've achieved success, right? And so, like, there's, I think Dan Martell says that there's two major inflection points in a business. The first one happens at 10, about 10 employees, which roughly is like $2 million in revenue.
Mm.
And then the second inflection is at like 30 employees. Um, But the idea is that if you're a leader and you've had success, the reason you feel kind of lost or struggling, or the reason that your vision is not passing down correctly, is because you need to sit down and make one. It-
Yeah.
you're done hustling, but now it's your job to make a vision, because without that, you can't get people to follow you, and you can't take them to the next level.
Right. I think Michael Hyatt referred to that as the muddle in the middle also. Um,
Ah,
yeah, but I mean, you hit a certain level. The other guy that I really learned a lot from is the late Bob Buford. And Buford talks about that transition from success to significance. And I don't think that necessarily has to be when you're, full of years and you've got the corner office and all the perks. I mean, I think you can make that transition at almost any point, but it's when you are going to start thinking about the work that you do. As Buford said, the fruit of our work will grow up on other people's trees. So a leader who's got a team under his or her care, leadership, can be thinking about, all right, how is this going to benefit them? Yeah. I mean, we want a nice big positive number on our P&L, but we want to make sure that the people who are making that happen are valued and seen, and have a path and an understanding of what it means, not just to me as the owner, but to the people we serve, the problems we solve out in the wider world. So people can build great careers and stay with you for a long time if they understand that you are really trying to cultivate fruitfulness in their life, not just for your own checkbook.
no, I love that. Dan Martell says it. Very, very similar stuff. Dan Martell says, once you've reached this spot of kind of the muddling in the middle, you can either you're going to self-sabotage yourself because you're afraid to grow, you're going to stall out, or I can't remember the third S. He has three S's. You're going to sabotage, you're going to stall, or you're going to I don't remember the last one. But the idea is there's very much this moment of inflection in which you need to. All right, so they get
I
with
can
you,
see
they
that
go through
though. I
the.
mean, yeah, I mean, I'm in my 60s, and I mean, the tendency to self-sabotage, I see it all the time. Fortunately, it's not like, right up close and personal with my immediate circle of friends, but you do see guys going out and blowing up their families, just because they're kind of bored or checked out. And I think, again, having a vision, or as John Eldridge would say, living closer to your heart, really keeps you out of that. I mean, not that you won't have moments, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely positively pivotal to be checking in with your mission. And I
And
mean, doing that daily is great.
I think that maybe this is, and I think it's okay for us to admit that we reach those points and we do stall. What are the best ways to push through that stall? I know, like, we've been watching the Olympics, for instance, and I noticed that everybody that's in the gold medal win, everybody that's in the gold medals, they all have coaches. And I
Mhm.
imagine that, in addition to a number of things, I imagine those coaches help you push through. Is there, how important are coaches in somebody's life? Like, how important have they been for you? And what's your advice there?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, first of all, I mean, a coach is somebody that you allow into your life, professionally, personally, or both, to say the things to you that nobody else, will be bold enough to say. So
That's so
it's
true.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, the stories from King David, I mean, it was only Nathan the prophet who confronted David after the fact. But if some advisor of the king had said, the troops are going out to conquer this territory or that, you need to be at the front, that whole story would have turned out differently. But you see it in business too. A leader ends up being kind of lonely and isolated because the people who are dependent on the leader for their livelihood are afraid to rock the boat.
Oh, that's 100% true. You can't be coached by somebody below you. And I'm going to speak to the young Drews out there. You can't really coach up. I mean, you can do it a little tiny bit, but it's really up to the leader to find an external source of advice so that they
Right.
can achieve what's next. All right,
Right.
I'm going to
Oh
pull us
yeah.
back here to hiring, because
Mhm.
you said that the three problem, you can't find you can't keep and find good people, right? And
Right.
that's vision. We talked about vision. So how does that vision stuff, that's kind of soft skill, how does that relate to hiring, which is a pretty hard skill? How
Right.
do you
When
help
you
do that?
Yeah, well, when you're putting together your guiding principles, you're really looking at a vision statement. Some people call it a mission statement. But that's confusing a lot of times because business leaders have this bronze plaque out in the lobby that's got all these words that have been used a gazillion times, synergy,
Right.
global, and metrics. And I don't have a lot of time for it, and I don't really want to arm wrestle over semantics. So I just say it's a vision statement. But so we're going to talk about what we're doing, what problem we solve, why it matters, right? How it makes the customer's life better. But we're also going to go beyond that, and we're really going to talk about what are the character traits that make a good fit. And then we're going to talk about
Oh,
the behaviors that make a winner. What makes a winning teammate, a winning team member. So when you have those things, you really, without even writing the first job description, have a very efficient filter for job candidates. We are looking for somebody who, exhibits these traits: profit-minded, relentlessly, fanatically focused on customer success, fearless in the face of rejection, if you're looking for a sales rep, and then the
yeah,
behaviors might be,
yeah.
we reply to emails within one business day, to customer emails. We send proposals, to qualified customers that include these things. We say it's my pleasure instead of you're welcome. But what
But not on Sundays.
it's the famous one. But I love that for Chick-fil-A. But but that's the thing. When you have that, even if you haven't done anything else, your job interview process is going to be so much better because you're not going to walk out of it going, well, should we hire him or not? Well, I don't know. I mean, pretty good person. I thought she was, very poised and all like that. It's like, that's great. Poise is great. I'm not saying don't show up dressed for the part. I'm not saying don't have, good answers to the what's your greatest weakness question,
Yeah.
but avoid asking anodyne questions that really don't tell you anything about how this person is like that missing piece that meshes with the deficiencies of the organization right now. So
Man,
that's
I love that because having come from a corporate background, I know you have a very long corporate background in HR.
oh
Um,
no, I never worked in HR.
oh,
uh,
I thought you. Oh, that's my fault. My fault.
no.
Um,
I love them, but I've never been one of them. So but yeah.
well, me and HR always had a little bit of tension. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
um,
yeah, my golf
well,
game was never good enough. I mean, that's the
my
truth.
golf game was never well played. We've just alienated HR. That's okay.
No,
It's a
like I
fair
said, I
thing to
love
do.
him. One of my dearest friends just retired as a senior VP of HR. In fact, I
Oh, good.
I owe him a visit, and we're going to have coffee and really talk about how my flagship product really works and how he would view it in his role. So, I mean, it's going to be some very valuable feedback, and I expect to see what he communicates to me show up in my messaging because, like I said, I don't want to alienate HR. I want HR to do what they do better because they end up being tasked, rightly or wrongly, with the implementation of a lot of the culture initiatives. That's why people in operations tend to be kind of like, yeah, it's an HR thing. Just wait, they'll change it. So we want to help
Mm,
them kind of overcome the cynicism that a lot of the people on the operational side uh, don't tend to
yeah,
get.
because the operational is an outcome of vision, and then how you hire. Like what I love about kind of what you were bringing up a little bit earlier is um, when you're hiring people, you don't want to hire anybody and then put them on the bus and then discover they don't fit on the bus. You want to know before they get on the bus that they belong on the bus. And again, that's not to say if you don't fit that, for instance, I would probably not fit in a dolphin feedery, right? That's just, I don't like the ocean as much. It doesn't make sense. Um, Sometimes the way I think of it is this. I recently landed at LAX, which is LA LA's airport, right? And
Yeah,
it's just chaos. There's stuff going everywhere. And there's buses that go to the Hyatt, there's buses that go to the rental car, there's buses, and they all have labels on them, right? And
right.
it's really important because I want to get on the bus that's taking me to Avis. That's where I want to go. Hint,
Hmm.
Avis, you can sponsor the podcast here.
There you go.
Um, but it's our job as leaders to put the label on the bus that says we're going here, right? And then when we go looking for people in the job application, in the posting on Indeed, this is what we're looking for. Are you this person?
Right.
And if we articulate that well, it's a lot easier to find the right people.
Correct. And again, the vision, the mission that the company is on is an important part of that. If you're just saying you want, an account executive, well, everybody says that, and, reports to this job, this level of management is responsible for these reports. I mean, you haven't done anything. I mean, you're really kind of looking at a mannequin and trying to tell me that's a great companion. The thing that makes, the difference between, a life-size thing that you can put clothes on and sell them and a real life human being is the soul of the thing. And the soul of the thing really comes from the mission. And that's an outgrowth of the culture. So, if your job descriptions and your job postings don't do anything except recite the dead, dull dimensions, of a 40 regular mannequin, or a size 8 or whatever it is, then you really haven't done a service to the people who are looking. Oh, well, 180,000. Yeah. I mean, sign me up. Can you do that work? I don't care. They're going to pay me a lot of money. I want to be on,
Yeah.
it's wasting your
I had
time.
somebody say to me, years ago, that you can't pay people to do a good job. You have to find the people that are doing a good job, and then you have to reward them for the job that they're doing.
Sure.
And yeah, because anybody will sign up to get more money and then go through a performance improvement plan. Okay, well, so somebody's listening here and they're saying, I need help finding and keeping better people. I realize I need a better vision. Geo seems like a great coach for that, somebody that can help me. So are you going to come in and you're going to write their vision for them and write their job postings, or what sort of service level can they expect?
No. And, so let me talk about this for just a second, Drew, and I thank you for it. My business is called MajorSage Business Coaching. And you'll notice that I have a white beard. Somebody said, "Are you a wizard?" I said, "No, I'm not a wizard. I have no magic in me, but I'm a sage. So my job is to bring the magic out of you." So, so the reason if you hire me to come in and help you affect the change that's going to make you a magnetic employer, then I'm going to coach you through the creation of that vision, those guiding principles. I'm going to make it real for you, and then you're going to be in control of it. Now, I will walk with you through the implementation of that. If you go with phase 2, we're going to install a simple business operating system that's going to mean that you're actually communicating that vision, that mission. Every time you get together, it's going to be reinforced in word, but also in behavior. So that's how we do it.
I love that for a couple of reasons. As a business owner, as somebody that managed a large number of people, large budgets at a corporate world, I asked you're so inundated with stuff. You're just like constant problems, constant concerns. And you say, I just need somebody to solve this. Give me somebody that'll solve this. And that's the temptation. But the problem is, if I pay you to solve it, and I mean, we're not going to throw your rates out here, but I know that he and I charge a similar rate, and it is in a 4-figure, 5-figure kind of a range.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to pay you to do it once. You would not do that in any other area of business, right? What makes way more sense is to bring somebody like you in to train me and to train my people, and then train us to keep those people, right? Find and keep the right people. But it makes way more sense to bring you in as a sage and have you transfer those skills and those powerful frameworks that are proven over and over again. So that it's, again, going back to the Olympics, it's I'm hiring a coach. They're not going to win the gold medal. I'm going to win the gold medal. I'm hiring the coach to be there to teach me how to do it, to keep me on track, to take care of my nutrition and my all the basic disciplines, so that they can help me get there.
Exactly. The thing that's interesting is we can do guiding principles, and I call it a VIP vision day. We can do that in one day, really, in about 6 hours. Break for lunch. Uh-oh. Lost the audio.
You lost my audio. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. So you can come in and set that vision structure right in a day, not just.
That's phase 1, right? We would spend a day together. I mean, there would obviously be a discussion leading into that, but you already know your business. You know what the problems you're facing are. You know what you need, but it's really my job to help you put something together that's really going to be meaningful and actionable and carry you through for the next, if it's a 90-day, if you do the 12-week year, great. We can do it for that. 12 months, great. But we're going to establish a time horizon, and we're going to establish a reason why. And that's the hard part. Most business people really know the work. They kind of know what their goal is. They've put together a budget, and that's fine. But what we have to do is let's break that down, and then let's part that out. So we know that the marketing department needs to accomplish certain specific things for us to achieve these top 3 financial goals, for example. We know what sales needs to do. We know what manufacturing in the various departments needs to do. We know what accounting needs to do. So it's really about breaking that down beyond just the numbers and saying, we're doing this because we're going to fight this particular kind of injustice, or we're going to solve this problem for our customers who are dealing with this issue. But what that does is help to solidify the company's identity in the marketplace. And that opens up, if the company needs it, some help in branding, because we can really effect a more meaningful outward communication strategy that really emanates from that true soul of the company as we now understand it. But really, the guiding principles really is a one-day thing. But then what we want to do is kind of branch out from that. So there's more.
No, I like that. And in my experience, when you're hustling day to day, just fighting fires, it's hard to, one of my favorite phrases, it's hard to see the label from inside the bottle.
Yes.
Right? There you are, you're in the thick of it, and it's hard to see that label. You kind of need an outside perspective. You don't need a whole lot of help, because frankly, you're the one that's doing the magic, but you need somebody that can help you see it from a new perspective that is not tainted with the current, oh, this is how this works, right? And somebody that's been done it for other companies as well.
Sure. Well, I know you're a reader, and I'm, I love and have gotten so much out of so many great authors, and John Maxwell is one of them. But I think that the truth of the matter is you can get so much from books, but ultimately, when you have an appointment with a real live human being who's going to hold you accountable and is going to challenge your assumptions, or at least give you some constructive feedback on your technique, you're going to get more. You're going to go farther faster. So, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a kid in the 70s, everybody was kung fu fighting. You may have heard there was a song. And there was a TV show about it. And there were some kids in my school who could watch the show or watch a Bruce Lee movie, and they could emulate what they saw. They were scary dudes. A lot of other people wanted to do it, but couldn't. And there were no kung fu dojos in my little town in eastern North Carolina. But there was a newsstand. And so there were these paperback books, Bruce Tegner teaches you kung fu or karate.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I had 2 things, Drew. I had 2 things. I had an allowance and a kid brother. So I'd take my $1.29 down to the newsstand, buy one of those Bruce Tegner books, spend an hour with it, and then say to my brother, "Come here, kid." And and I will tell you that he's a pastor now, and he has forgiven me. I think it's a job requirement. But they did open a karate dojo, and I got my mom to agree. And so I went in, and of course I was going to impress the sensei with my moves. And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, sensei, Bruce Tegner said," he said, "Oh, you have those books?" "Yes, sensei. I want you to go home and throw them in the trash." So, Bruce Tegner was going to get me killed. That's the point. I learned something from the books, right? And it worked on my defenseless younger brother. But really, the sensei was going to teach me the right way to learn karate.
Yeah, I'm not going to quote the author. I know who it is though. And they said, famously, they said, you'll notice that my book doesn't say best book. It says best selling book.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's a lot of people that write books that are great at selling. But what you need is somebody that's done it, and to walk you through it, and then to train you, hand in hand as you get those skills going. We are kind of running up on some time here, and I want to give you time to talk about what you do. So this is MajorSage's business coaching. So if you want to reach MajorSage, if you want to reach Geo, it's majorsage.com, super straightforward. And he has a giveaway just for the show here. I'm going to let you talk about your framework here in a second, but he has a giveaway. You can scan the QR code, go to MajorSage Business Coaching, or sorry, MajorSage.com, and you'll find the QR code there too. It's a business analysis. You want to talk real quick about what this business report is and what they can get?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you saw the airplane imagery before. Our business model is that a business is like an airplane. And so the cockpit is your leadership. The body is operations and overhead. The wings are your products or services. The right engine is marketing. The left engine is sales. And cash flow is your fuel. So all of those systems have to work well for an airplane to get off the ground and reach its destination safely. And your business has to have all 6 of those systems working well. So the My Business Report assessment will take you through about 12 minutes. And there will be questions that pertain to each of the 6 principal parts of the airplane or parts of your business. And then it will give you a PDF with a plan for putting that into effect. So as I said earlier, you can do it on your own. And you may be one of those people who can watch a Bruce Lee movie and then slay multitudes with your with your kung fu. But if you need help, then you can meet with me and we can discuss how to take the next steps. But this is an end in itself. It will give you some clear insight into the condition of the 6 parts of your business, and it will give you a plan for fixing them. I'd love for you to have it. And if you do this, I'll reach out to you. And if you'd like, then we can have a 30-minute call on me to talk through the results and what you might want to do by way of next steps. No obligation at all.
I love that. In a world full of sales, it's nice to have an honest person to talk to. So with that, I want to encourage you, go to majorsage.com, get your free business assessment, take a look at the 6 parts of your business. And honestly, it's a super value here. I know that coaches charge $500 or more for these type of conversations. Sit down with Geo, get an honest look at your business and how you can redo your hiring, management, and vision so that you can find and keep great people. All right. With that, we are going to wrap the show up here. Do you have any final closeout thoughts, Geo?
Just this, we're whether we're actually in a recession or we're heading for one, or it's just a little bit of malaise leading into the election cycle. 2025 is coming, and it's going to be here whether or not you prepare. So if you haven't given some thought to your company's culture and how you can attract and keep top talent, now is the time to do it. If you'd like to work on your vision, you as a leader, so that you're checking in with your sense of mission and your heart, I encourage you to do it. I am one person who can do that. I'm not the only one. But if you want to do it for your business as well, I always like to start with a leader, but we can certainly talk about that as well. But by all means, do something. Don't just sit there and let whatever is coming wash over you like a wave. You're going to do better if you're on your feet than if you're hiding out somewhere. So, I mean, that's the least salesy advice I can give you, but for goodness sake, for your people's sake, for the people you serve, your customers and your community and your family, don't just sit there and let it happen to you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Everybody, go check out Geo Booth at majorsage.com and get prepared for 2025.